everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you're here today. Today is Thursday, February 6th, and I am filming videos. I'm in a couple different places today, so I am obviously down in our basement, and I have some stuff set up here I want to talk about. Hopefully, I think the light... This is the best lighting I can get down here. So hopefully this works, but I needed the table to hook up my knitting machine. Today I am hopping on to talk about making things with your Angora. I've had a request for that video, and I do have several videos. If you look in the search bar or look through my videos, you will see, I think there's 3 different videos at least that talk about what to do with hand-spun Angora. But I thought I'd do a specific video today just because I've been working on stuff this last few weeks, not necessarily with Angora, but I've been making a lot of hats. And so I thought we'd talk about hats today and what to do and what not to do with Angora yarn. We are going to make one today, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I wanted to go through some of the... and this doesn't apply just to Angora, although the hat I'm going to be making, I'm making it a specific way so that you can use Angora while making it, if that makes sense. But you can make any of your hand-spun yarns into hats this way too. So I have actually been working on these hats. My mother-in-law started before she passed away for Christmas. And so I've been finishing these up for her for members of the family. And so I have the blue ones all done. I made, she had, how many did she have done? She had 1.5 done or 2 done. And so I finished the other 4. This is a Michigan emblem. So I have finished these off, and then I started making, I'm making some more of them with my hand spun. So this is acrylic, obviously. This is what she had started it in. So I am finishing off the yarn that she had purchased in the toppers that she had purchased, the pom-poms. The emblems come off Etsy. I'll try to remember to link those down below. They had all kinds. This is actually an iron-on, but I had to sew it on because the iron-on does not work with the acrylic yarns. I could not. Ironing acrylic yarns is very dangerous. I learned that many years ago. And so I decided just to sew this emblem on. So I'll try to remember to link the Etsy site below where she got them. And then I ended up ordering more because I wanted to make more hats. I thought they turned out really cute. So I have this one that I made. This is a merino, I believe, or a merino blend hand spun yarn. I don't know what I did with the tag, but so I have some more emblems coming. This one will get an emblem too. This is just a basic knit one, purl one. I'm going to forget words today. Knit one, purl one on the base part of it. You know the word, and you're probably screaming at me right now, Renee. And then I just did a basic knit stitch and then decrease at the top. So this is a real, I think I did 78 stitches around, and this is just a basic beanie. This one is actually, the acrylic is held 2-ply, so this is a really heavy hat. And yeah, so they're going to be really warm no matter what. But let's talk about Angora and what you want to do with Angora and what you don't want to do with Angora. So I'm going to make an Angora hat today. You can make this style that I'm going to show you by hand. It's absolutely, I will try to find a pattern. I know there's one pattern out there. I can't think of the name of it right now, but there is a very specific pattern that people make these hats from. And I'm going to use the knitting machine because I can get one done here in a very short period of time. I won't do it all on camera, but I'll show you how I do it. And it's just a matter of, well, let me show you. So this is an Angora hat. This is one of mine. And what I have done with this one is, let me show you how it fits. I got my little emblem there. So this one is actually a longer one. And you can do a couple different things with these ones. You could make it shorter and just have a beanie hat. You could make it either longer or shorter. You can have the cuff or no cuff. You could leave off the pom-pom, and if you did that, it would be reversible. There's lots of options with this, and this one I actually did make on this knitting machine, and it's basically a tube. So I used acrylic yarn in this one. You could do hand spun yarn with the Angora. So if I did, instead of the acrylic, replaced it with the hand spun, which is what we're going to make today. The reason I do that is Angora doesn't have a lot of bounce back to it. So when you make something with Angora, keep in mind it is going to be quite loose. This is another one. This is full on 100% Angora, and this is a reversible one. So this is that's a chestnut. And I know the color isn't coming through great, but that's a chestnut Angora, natural color. And then this is reversible. So this is actually my husband's hat, so it is a little bit bigger. But with the brim here, ooh, it matches my outfit. With the brim here, it fits quite nice. And with the rolling up of the brim, it kind of gives it some stability. So if I made this shorter, let's see, I would have had to make it, which I'll show you one here in just a second. You could do that without the brim. You don't want to put a lot of pattern into your Angora, if that makes sense. And I'll show you what I mean. This is a hat that I did this was my first, probably 15 years ago I made this hat. And this is the Magnolia hat. I believe it's still on Ravelry. I know I found it on Pinterest the other day, but this is a Magnolia hat pattern. And first of all, I realized after making this a couple things. You can kind of see the pattern here, but when you look at the Magnolia pattern with just regular yarn, you know, whether it be a merino or acrylic, the pattern really shines. When you use Angora, the Angora shines. And so with the halo of the Angora, you lose a lot of the beauty of that pattern. It's not a bad thing, but you don't need to go into really extensive patterns with Angora because the Angora is going to shine through. I have a very basic, let's see where that one went. I have many hats here. There it is. This is just a basic, just like this one actually. It's just a knit one, purl one across the bottom, and then knit up and decrease. And so this is one of my hats. It's super simple. It's a very beautiful hat just because of the halo and how Angora comes across. I will try to lay these out and take a picture of them and put it on Instagram today with some great lighting, just so you can kind of see that. So let's go back to this one with the pattern. I would never do this one again. I would never do Angora with great pattern definition in the pattern, if that makes sense, whatever you're going to be doing. This one used cables. This was the first really hardcore knitting pattern I ever did, where I had to do cables and I had to do all kinds of change ups and things like that in order to get this pattern. The other issue with this one, it's really big. So again, now I can still wear it. It's cute, but it doesn't fit the way it's supposed to. The way this hat looks. If you saw the picture of the Magnolia hat, it looks nothing like this. So this one's just a wee bit too big for me. And that's what you're going to find with Angora. It is, so any of the things that you do, you might want to size down just a slight bit. Even this hat is a tad big for me. It fits me good because it's a shorter hat and it sits on my head good, but it does not hold like this one is definitely springs back. I've got the spring in with my knit one purl one, which the word still escapes me. I have no idea, but you guys know what I'm talking about. This is I believe this is alpaca Angora blend. This hat I made on the knitting machine, and I just knit on here. I'm not sure if this is like 70 stitches, 70 rounds, and then there's no decrease on this one. I just pulled it tight. I don't know. I've never looked at to see if they have a decrease pattern for the knitting machines. I don't use this a lot. I should use it more, but I just take it and tighten the yarn and then go in and sew the top. And then the bottom is just a brim. It's just a rounded brim, and I think I sewed this one up too. So this is just a beanie, which with the alpaca in it, I have no problems. This has a very nice fit to it. And it doesn't stretch out like some of the other 100% ones do. So definitely, if you can get a hold, ooh, my hair is just not going to go through this very well. That's okay. If you could get a hold of some other fibers to blend, that's one option, is to blend it with other fibers. This is my workhorse hat. I probably made this. This is probably one of the first hats I made. Many years ago, probably more than 15 years ago. I think I've had this hat, and this is the same thing as this one. It is just it was a knitting machine hat, and this is alpaca Angora. It was some of the first yarns that I made. I think it was from our alpacas too. So it has the halo. When you do blend, let me see if I can show you. You're going to lose a little bit of halo on a blended, but it still has quite a bit. And I'll try to capture that in the photo that I take. So this is 100% Angora. This is a blended Angora, and you're still going to get that halo to some degree. So you don't really lose that. It's just not as pronounced. The reason why I made this hat on the knitting machine, the one we're going to make today, the way I did, and there's a couple different options with this one, like I said. You could make it, I made it with acrylic yarns because I had a ton, at one point I had a ton of acrylic yarn. I wanted to get rid of it. I had given some away to church and to someone else to use for school stuff. And I still had a ton. And so I thought, well, I can take and make hats with, 2 layers. So you've got the warmth of the Angora on the outside, and then you've got the stability of the acrylic on the inside, which that's why I did it that way. Again, you could use like a merino or something too, a hand spun, but with the acrylic on the inside, it gives it that definition so that when you wear it, and again, this one could have been shorter even than what it is. When you wear it, the acrylic makes it fit your head nicely, and it gives it that bounce back that you need from a hat. So when you stretch it out to put it on your head, it comes back together and has that memory in it that the Angora does not have. So those are some of the options with the Angora. I'll show you a couple more hats. One of them is, I'm trying to remember what this would be. I'm not sure what the dark purple is, but the light purple is Angora, and I messed up my stitch right there when I did this one. I think this is a crocheted hat. Yeah, this is crocheted. So I put in just a splash of Angora to give it that definition and that halo in the stripe. So you can add stripes to you could take acrylic yarn and add an Angora stripe every now and then, and that would be a really beautiful hat. It would up the acrylic. So this is just like it's almost like a beret type, and that's a crocheted hat. This is, I gotta take out my headband, guys, because it is just not gonna stay in there. This is what not to do. This is really what not to do with, and I was just gonna brag about how I don't really store I don't store my Angora probably the way I should. But like I said, this one was 15, 20 years ago, and I don't have issues with moths. I don't know what it is. All of this stuff is just kind of in my closet, and then I picked this one up, and it's got a little bit of a hole in it. And now is that a moth or is that something else going on? That might be something else going on. Yeah, because it's one string. I will be able to fix that. It looks like where I tied off something, it's got a little bit of a hole. So this one, actually, did I make this? I did not make this. My mother-in-law made this one for me. So this was a cap, and I think she designed it. It's got a brim to it, and she did the tie because you can tighten the tie to make it fit on your head better, which it's fine. You can see the brim she put in facing in there. So it's like got a brim, it's got the tie here, but it is really, it's loose. Me personally, I am not a fan of this hat. It's too loose on my head. If I have a hat on, I want it to stay on, and this isn't going to do it. So this would be, and you can see there's like no structure to it because that's Angora. It's cute on, but it's not practical to me. So that's maybe what not to do. And when you get into these, this was supposed to be a cap that did have more of a, so you could flip it over like a beret with a brim is what this style was, this design that she did. And you kind of lose that. Anytime you try to put too much design or certain stitches into Angora, you're going to lose some of the structure to it. So let's make a hat. I'm going to do this in pieces because I'm not going to make you sit here. It'll probably take me an hour to make the full hat. So I'll show you in bits and pieces how I'm going to do it. I have pulled from my stash. This is actually a 3-ply Angora that I did for a video and haven't done anything with it. And it's a little bit tweedy color. So I've got some gray and some cream in there. I'm going to use this one today just because I don't have any other plans for it. And like I said, this was a video experiment. I think this was a 3-ply Angora video that I did. And I'm not going to sell it because I don't know. I'm not going to sell it. It looks like I took some of my odds and ends of colors and just kind of blended them together and then made this yarn. So it's pretty, it's beautiful yarn, but I don't have any intentions of selling it as a skein. So let's make something out of it. I am going to take this, which this tag says mohair on it. This is not mohair. I know it's not mohair. So I'm thinking it's merino, because my brain, not merino, but merino. And this was a braid of the month club that I got. And most of the braids, I think I know where this one came from. And most of these braids are merino or a merino blend. And so that's why I think this one's a merino. This was a braid club. So it came dyed. It's a purple and gray. It's going to go perfect with this gray. I know the colors aren't coming off right. Again, I will do some pictures and put them on my Instagram for you. Lighting is always a struggle in this house and where I have space to do things. So we're just going to deal with it today. So what I'm going to do first is I've got my Swift set up. Some of you have asked in previous videos what that is. That is a yarn Swift. You'll see it here in just a second. And I have my ball winder. So I'm going to turn these into center pull balls. And then I'm going to make one of these hats. It's going to be reversible, and I won't put a pom-pom on it. It's going to have a little bit more structure than this one because this one's full Angora. So it'll be more like this one where I've got the acrylic Angora, and the merino will give it structure and the Angora will give it its beauty, although the merino's pretty too. So let me turn the camera around, and we'll get this started. So stay tuned. Okay guys, I've got this all done. 2 hand pulled balls. I know that this is last. This was 146 yards. I know that this is last. I'm going to start with the Angora. This is, remember, a 3-ply Angora. And I am going to, this is an Addy knitting machine. I really like it. I don't use it enough as I should. Or I don't use it as much as I should. I did have the smaller one also, and I ended up selling that when we moved. And I wish I hadn't now, because I would probably use that one too. So what you do to get this started, and again, you don't have to have the knitting machine to make one of these hats. You can do it, it's just a tube essentially. So you can knit a tube around and around. You make a long tube, you turn it inside out, which you will see here with this. Basically the same process. And yeah, you don't need a knitting machine to do it. So I will try to find the pattern I'm thinking of with the hand knit tube hat that I'm thinking of. And the reason we're doing it this way is because the other yarn is going to give the Angora stability, and it'll be extra warm too. And it's an easy, there's no, I should look up this word. There's no cuff to make or anything like that. Brim, that's the word I wanted, I think. Brim, there's no brim to make. It's just a straight knit. So you would, however many stitches around, and you just go knitting up, and then you turn it inside out on itself. So to do the Addy, there's 3 black hooks here. You start there, and you put that, and you go, the first round is back and forth. So you're around one to the front, around one to the back. That's how you get this started. And the thing with the Addy that I have watched tons of videos on these things, and people just go, like, some people hook their electric screwdrivers to these things. They have a handle that you can attach a screwdriver to, just a battery powered one, not electric, a battery powered screwdriver. And they make hats like crazy, people. I struggle with that because I always have to take my time with this machine, and maybe it's my machine, or maybe I'm not doing something right, but I sometimes lose a stitch on this machine. And so I'm always cautious and take my time on it. So with that being said, let's move on. I've got the first round done. I've put it through my, it's a stitch holder, and I've got my counter on. I'm going to make this probably, I'm guessing this is going to get me about 50 rounds. This hat I think is 140. So depending on, you can, again, wear it a couple different ways. You can wear it with the brim up. You can wear it more as a slouch hat with it down, depending on your head size or what you want. So I'm not overly concerned with how long this gets. I'm probably going to use this up, and we'll see how far we get with this. If you don't make it equal, so let's say the Angora gets me 50 stitches, and I can get 70, not stitches, rounds. So I get 50 rounds out of the Angora, but the other yarn that I'm using, I can get 70 out of. That's just your brim. So you can sew it that way to make it work out, if that makes sense, and I will show you that. So I am just going to sit here now, turning this handle and watching my stitches, making sure everything gets in there. And there's one round, so you can see how quickly this goes. I'm just going to sit here and go round and around and around, and we'll get this one done, and then I'll show you how to switch colors. Okay guys, I am back and I have half the hat done. You're going to notice, I think you can probably tell on camera, I got 33 rows out of the first ball that I did, which wasn't close to even being half of a hat like these ones. And so, like I said, these are 140, I believe, down. So split in half at 70. So 33 was only from here to here. So I grabbed another skein of yarn, still Angora, and it was a 3-ply, but this was another video yarn that I made, and I was teaching you how to Navajo ply. And so it's got a little bit of a different look to it just because of the Navajo plying, and it's not quite as thick. It's a little bit darker, but remember I had dark and light in the first original skein. So it's going to kind of all blend out, and you'll see that once I take it out of the machine. I wanted to show you, I'm getting ready to switch colors. So I have my purple merino, or my purple, pink, and white merino. What I did was I ended off here, and I'm just going to put that inside. Your ends always go inside, and I'm going to, let me shift this just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So ends go inside the hat or inside the circle. I'm going to hook it on the last hook that I just finished, and then run it through my little catch thing here. And then I'm just going to keep moving along with this color. And when we come back around, what I'm going to do is I'll tie this off, and then I will sew it up just like I would. I'll tuck in all the ends just like I would on any other project. I am going a little bit slower. When you have thicker yarn in this Addy machine, it does seem to sometimes not want to go through. What I have is a little crochet hook, and so if that happens, I just take the crochet hook and feed it through. So I'm just slowly sitting here doing this, watching as I go. If I feel one that's kind of caught, I push it down. I don't know if all of these, and I just passed my starting point right there, so I've got a full round in, and I'm just going to keep going around. I am guessing I was at 64 rounds with the two balls of Angora. I'm guessing I will probably easily get 70. I want to get between 60 and 70 to get a full hat in. And my guess is the purple will easily give me that. I have to decide if I want to go. Remember we talked about how if I were to go, let me move you up so you can see what I'm talking about now. So if I were to go a little bit more with one color than the other, you're just going to have a different looking brim. That's all that'll do. I just don't want to go too big, so it's really, I don't want a really sloppy hat. So I'm just going to kind of judge as I go along here and see what I think. And yeah, so I'm going to finish this off, and we will be back at the end. I'll show you how I take this off and how I sew up the ends to make the hat. Stay tuned. All right, guys, I am finished. I decided to just go double, so I did 63 of the gray Angora, another 63 of the purple handspun merino, and so I have a total of 126 stitches. I have stopped at my first black needle. Remember, there are 3 black needles at the beginning, and I'm going to cut my yarn, and I am going to bring it through. And this is how you take your work off the Addy machine. One thing I have figured out is that if you wanted to do a knit one, purl one rim, you could put this on a circular hook. Circular needle. Oh, I don't have any fingernails right now. I'm trying to shove the yarn into my yarn needle. I might have to go get a different needle. So you could do exactly what I'm doing, but with a circular knitting needle, and then you could do a knit one, purl one brim, or knit two, purl two brim, whatever you wanted to do. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go, and essentially what I'm doing is dropping the needles and putting my yarn through each of the pins. Let me, you know what, I should shift you around so you can actually see this whole process. Let me turn the camera. I'm going to bring it back behind me so I can look down. Okay, that's a better view. So what I'm doing is essentially dropping all of the needles, and I am just pulling my yarn. There's two little prongs, slots, whatever you want to call them, where the needles, that's how the magic works on this thing. And so I'm just going up between them. It's the stitch that's on there. And pulling them off. I'll go all the way around to do this. Just take me a couple minutes here. And this is a 46 needle machine. I was trying to figure out, typically, like I said, the hats I've been working on are 78, cast on 78. This is only 46, so I'm not sure where the difference comes. This does, I mean, it looks just like a knit stitch, but of course it's not hand knit, so it is, there's mechanics behind it. So I'm not sure if that's where the difference comes in the diameter of the hats or not. I'm not sure. Oops. And you'll see this is going to start coming off here. Let me finish this off and then I'll turn you back on. Okay guys, I have pulled it off. This is what it looks like. It's just a tube. You can see there's my original stop for the Angora, and then I added my second skein in, and then my purple. It's just one big long tube. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find my middle and turn it. Let's see, I want to make sure I get this turned the right way. So I want to do it this way. So I'm gonna bring the gray on the inside, and let me shift you again. I want to do this on the table so you can see what I'm doing here. So this is my gray end that I started with. It's still not great. Let me pause you because I'm in the way of the light. There we go. So I've got outside, the knit side, and the knit side, so wrong sides together. And this was my start. I am going to just, since we're going to put this, remember I had two starts on different skeins, so I'm just going to tie these off and cut them because you're not going to see them. I just want to make sure they're secure. The other one's right here. So I don't need to sew them in or tack them down or in any way. I just want to get them tied off. Then I'm going to pull. This was my starting piece right here. I'm going to pull it to tighten it. And just kind of move it along. Until it's closed up. So there's my one closure, and then I'm going to do that with the one I just did also. So now I've got that closed. Both ends are closed. And I'm just going to sew that like you would a top, just sort of whip stitch it both ways. There's a couple different options for this, remember. There is that option. There is this option. And if you want to do it reversible, then don't put a pom-pom or anything on it like I did the other one. And so this is what you end up with, minus the strings hanging, of course. Sorry for all the jiggling today. I want to make sure you see this. So that's Angora out, and this will get more halo the more you wear it, of course. And then this is merino hand spun out. And again, the merino gives it the structure and the oomph. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. Yeah, just a hat. Again, you can do this. I will try to find the pattern. If not, look for, I think it's a tube hat pattern, because that's all you're doing is basically going around and around in a circle. You can do it on your circular needles or with straight needles. You do not need the knitting machine to do this one, but I did want to show you how to use your Angora and some different options for using that on making hats. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you get to create something today. Bye.